So I just finished a long day of work, got everything done I said I was going to get done. And over these past 3 months, I have been a full-time online coach, right? Coaching my guys, doing my own self-development, content, and I've gotten extremely obsessed with success. Now, I've always been obsessed with success, but because this business is so personal to me, so purposeful to me, and I know exactly this is what I need to do, I have my path, it's all I can think about, right? And I was loving it. I love the fact that it's all I can think about. My growth rate is quick, with even just, my communication abilities, my understanding of the business, my clients are doing phenomenal. But what got me here to where I am today was understanding this, right? Looking within, understanding what needs to be changed, what errors there are, what holes of thinking there are, impurities in my mind. And inevitably, as I got into the obsession, the impurities came again. And the impurities meaning the obsession with material success for the sake of validation, for the sake of, I was able to do it, right? Now, let me make it clear, I do not think material success is bad. But at the same time, for the first time in like 2 months, maybe a month and a half, I was doing a late night workout. I actually posted the video. Go check it out. It was 2 days ago. It was like raw talk about my arm day. And I went back to my core, which was taking a step back, looking within, and seeing what's going on in here, right? Because if we don't do that, although we can be productive, moving towards our goals, we're acting as robots. We're not really living. And that was me, right? That is something I worked so hard to break in the past, and I've gone stages in and out of it. And I went back to that. Now, I just started, the online stuff, content and coaching. I'm more referring to content here. And it's okay for me to have gotten lost in the sauce a little bit. Lost in the sauce, I reflected back. Now I look at people at the top and the people we idolize, and I have utmost respect for the people who do it morally, right? For the people who get there, with helping people out. But at the same time, the people who do it for the material success always get there and then realize they need God, right? Whatever God is to you, they need spirituality, they need God, they need fulfillment instead of material. Because you can never get fulfillment from the material. It's impossible. Whatever God you believed in, whoever designed it this way, designed it that the more you seek the material, whether that's money, woman, cars, validation, clothes, the more you feel empty. That's how it is, right? That's how it is. And so somehow we've gotten to a day and age where it's so glorified to have that. That's the point at a young age. Now, I do think that it is good that at a young age men are grinding now, right? And I think it's good if maybe, you say you want the car because it proves the success you got in here. But I think very few times people actually are chasing the success for the right reasons and end up getting there and then reverting. Being, hey, I got here, but at what cost, right? I did whatever it took, but whatever it took wasn't worth it. Now, what is the alternative? The alternative is the pure path, as pure as possible, right? Is not aiming for the success so you can have sex with the most amount of women, right? Or have the best cars, or have the most validation, or feed your ego. The only way you can get there, and I know this because this is how it's been with every micro win and every micro success and major one along the way, the only way you can actually get there is that if along the way you stay present, right? You stay focused on what actually matters, which is impact, which is actual character development, which is wisdom, which is coming closer to the source, God, right? But you see in content, it's we don't talk about that. We don't, right? And do you ever see these guys who have all the material success ever talking about, I got it, and now I feel so spiritually fulfilled. I feel so internally fulfilled. They're just always talking about how to get more, or how, oh, I felt lost and I got God back in my life. And then I went back, oh, I forgot I needed God, right? And so as far as young men go, and adult men, men of any age, I think what is the utmost importance is before you try to fill a void within yourself with external things, with material things, is that you first fix the void in the first place, right? Because there's no void that can be filled with material, with woman, with anything else. Right? When I say woman, I mean casual sex. It can't be filled, right? Our ego only tells us it can be. And so if we just take a second, take an ounce of the effort we give towards a material success, the ego-driven success, if we give an ounce of that towards, hey, let me make sure my desires are in the right place. Let me make sure what's going on internally is in the right place, right? Because, again, whatever God you believe in, he sees what's going on in here completely. He sees the thoughts. He sees the desires. He sees the thoughts. He sees the purity. It sees the purity, whatever you believe, right? And so that should be our utmost priority, is fix this. That is not what the priority is on social media. That is not what young men look to as far as success goes, including myself, which recently happened to me, right? Because it's easy. Our ego is always the first thing we see. We always seek the comfort for the ego first. When I say the ego, I mean the identity. What's comfortable for the identity is validation, right? Feeling like you're worth something, right? It's telling yourself you're worth something because you achieved X. But in reality, the ego is the very thing separating us from God. The very thing. Because what is God? God is selflessness, right? Pure selflessness. That's every religion, that's what we believe in. Whether if you're into spirituality, religion, Buddhism, Taoism, philosophies of life, God is selflessness. The separation from God is selfishness, right? And what is selfishness? Selfishness is the self is the ego, and selfishness is the desire for the material success, right? And so I think material success, again, is good, but I think it's very rare that men get there through the source. Instead, we get there through filling the void that cannot be filled, which is the ego. And so if we take a step back, do some meditation, look within, ask yourself why you wake up and do these things. Ask yourself, is this actually going to lead me to where I want to go? Is this actually going to reduce suffering for others, including myself? And then act from that point. That's the only way, right? That's the only way. Because what can we as men do if already it's hard to be a man? Being born a man means your life is going to be hard. And then once you embrace that discomfort to get what you want in this material world, your life is still hard because you do not feel fulfilled within. And then you're like, now what? So the only way is through fulfillment internally, through purpose, through helping others, through God. And so why would we not, even along the way, whatever we're doing, make sure that the reason we're doing it is for that reason, right? That is one of the most difficult disciplines to stick with, because you can get motivated right now as I'm talking to you, but in a couple of days, your ego will go back to, but this will fulfill me. No, I know I'm supposed to do this. I know I've seen before that the path of fulfillment is through God, is through selflessness. But actually this time I want what's good, what's just best for me, right? What's best for my ego. It's always a lie. Always, right? Dan Bilzerian has had sex with the most beautiful woman, probably had more sex with the most beautiful, like top of Giga Chad, right? And he says it wasn't fulfilling. So how can we as men sit here and see that and still tell ourselves that it will be when he took it to the fullest extreme? How? Right? Because the ego wants to survive. It wants to say, go get that. It wants to say, oh, you need that. Because if you're content with where you are now, where you are internally, why you're doing the things you're doing, if you're content with that and it's pure, then the ego is gone. That's selflessness, right? That's spirit. That's closeness with God. But the ego is dead then, right? And we all have an ego and it wants to survive. And so it will never be, hey, this is just a decision I'm making. It will be a constant war of our entire lives of saying, hey, biologically, physically, I desire this, but wisdom tells me through my experience, through what God says, that this is the path. Even though it doesn't feel like this is the path, I know this is the path, right? And as far as me goes, that's what I'm going to have to keep doing, right? And I realized once I kind of took a step back and observed, I realized that one of my greatest gifts is to spread these kinds of messages. I like the motivational stuff too, because it is very important that men are. Discipline is spiritual as long as you're doing it for the right reasons. It's very important men are disciplined, but it's also very important that men look within and understand why they want the things they want, and make sure they're not leading themselves down an endless hole, right? So I'm going to try to give you guys a lot more of this. I know I gave it a little on my last two videos, but the reason I am this way is because I went down the hole of materialism in high school. My entire high school, weed addict, got with a bunch of girls, right? In college, got social anxiety from heartbreak, tried to fill it with drugs, selling weed, drinking all the time, right? Hit my rock bottom, pornography, right? Hit my rock bottom, and then right away, what I knew I needed to do was I needed to fix what was in here. And when I was my most pure, most fulfilled, I don't like to use the word happiness because happiness is not what we're going for. No human will be happy forever. That's not what we're shooting for. But the most fulfilled and peaceful internally is when I had none of this going for me. I was just making sure that this was pure and this was pure, right? Meditating often, healing myself, filling a void that can actually be filled. And then from there, you need to make sure that void doesn't end up trying to open for other things. It says, hey, I need to follow my heart, right? Not what my ego tells me will satisfy, but my heart. Okay, brothers? And so if you have a goal right now, whatever that is, some of it, you guys, it's self-development. Some of you guys, it's, money. Maybe some of you, it's relationship. Make sure that as you're going through that goal, as you're pushing towards that goal, you are always checking what's going on in here and what's going on in here, right? Because if we get obsessed with a certain thing, it will always corrupt. It will all sense of, okay, why am I doing this? Is it for a good reason? Goes away, and it's just, okay, how do I get there faster? How do I get there faster? Right? And so that's what you're going to try to avoid. Because say you do get there, like I said, you're going to revert and say, hey, I wish I took a more grounded path. So yeah, brothers, love you boys. Little rant, little late night rant. I felt like it was necessary just because I recently had that mindset shift in my life, and I've had much more grounded action. I've honestly been more productive. I've moved more towards the goals that I set myself for when I was less obsessed with the goals and more obsessed with the personal development and helping others, right? It's a win-win. So that's the only way. Life is going to be hard, boys. My life is hard. Your life is hard. Every man's life is hard, right? And the best thing we could do is understand that hard is okay. Let's make sure we're going through shit for the right reasons. Okay, brothers? Love you. Follow me on IG for more, right? I do one-on-one coaching, physically, mentally, sexually, spiritually. Today was more about spiritually. I coach on all these pillars. You can check out the Full Evolve Method Masterclass on my first video posted. Me and my brother talk about it. He's the one that changed my life. It's pretty crazy stuff. I highly recommend checking that out. If you're interested with working with us, or me specifically, my brother, there's a link on there to book a one-on-one call. I hope you do. Otherwise, I hope you just implement these videos. I hope these videos align you. Follow me on Instagram. Love. Till next time.